Have you ever cooked a really big dinner, set the table, and suddenly realized you made way too much food?
Oh, yeah. Like way too many plates.
Right. You just stand there looking at the extra plates, and the house suddenly feels very, very quiet.
It really does.
If you are standing in a quiet kitchen right now listening to this, you probably know exactly what I mean.
That specific silence is just unforgettable. It is a
Yeah.
really heavy quiet.
Yeah.
It is not the relaxing silence you get like after a long day at work.
No, it is completely different. Why does that sudden quiet feel so heavy? I mean, it actually feels almost sad.
It does.
That heavy silence isn't just a physical change in the room. It feels like the sound of a massive 18-year project coming to a sudden stop.
Yeah. It feels heavy because your entire reality is shifting. Your brain is trying to process a completely empty space.
Right.
So today we are taking a deep dive into the emotional journey of that empty house. We're looking at what happens when your children finally move out.
Exactly. Like, who are you when the job of being a full-time parent changes overnight?
It is a huge question.
Because you do not stop being a parent,
Yeah.
but the daily physical job, it just changes completely.
It affects absolutely everything. I mean, your personal identity, your marriage, your daily habits.
Yeah.
It is a journey full of contradictions. You might expect to feel heartbroken, but you might actually feel relieved.
And then you feel guilty for feeling relieved.
Exactly.
It is just such a messy emotional web. So let's start right at the very beginning of this journey.
The first day.
Yeah, the very first day. Is it normal to feel completely and utterly shocked when they finally leave?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, I mean, you knew this day was coming for 18 years. You packed the boxes together. You planned the drive.
Right, you did all the prep work.
But it still hits you like a physical surprise, like a punch.
It is entirely normal. In fact, that shock is deeply biological. Your nervous system is basically reacting.
Really? Biological.
Yeah. Let's picture the exact moment. Imagine dropping your kid off at their new apartment, or maybe carrying their heavy bags into a college dorm.
Okay, I have the picture in my head. You are carrying the last box inside, and you want to look strong for them.
Exactly. You want them to feel confident. You do not want your child to worry about you.
Right.
So you smile, you give them a huge hug,
Yeah.
you wave goodbye, and you walk down the hallway.
And you are just holding your breath the entire time.
Yes. You are acting like everything is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You step into the elevator to leave the building,
Okay.
but then the elevator doors slide closed. You are finally alone.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you just have a complete emotional meltdown.
Wow.
You start crying hysterically.
A total collapse. I have actually heard so many parents describe that exact moment. They make it to the car, or they make it to the elevator, and they just break down.
There's a very powerful story about this, actually.
Fine.
A parent holds it together perfectly during the drop-off. They step into the elevator, the doors close, and they start crying so hard they can barely breathe. It is basically a total panic attack.
That sounds terrifying. Your body is just releasing, 18 years of tension all at once?
Exactly.
Okay.
But here is where it gets really fascinating. Suddenly, the elevator stops on the next floor down.
Oh, no.
The doors open.
Ugh.
Another parent gets in. And that parent is crying hysterically too.
You are kidding. Two completely broken parents in one elevator.
Yes. They look at each other with tears streaming down their faces. They do not say a single word. They just step forward and hug each other.
Oh, wow.
Two complete strangers, just sobbing in a moving elevator.
That actually gives me chills. There's something so profoundly human about that.
Isn't there?
But what is actually happening in the brain there? Why is the physical reaction so violent?
It comes down to how human brains process sudden routine changes. You see, your brain is like a prediction machine.
Okay.
For 18 years, it predicted a loud house. It predicted making breakfast for two people. It predicted worrying about a teenager coming home late.
So your nervous system is basically in a state of high alert for nearly 2 decades. You are always tracking their safety.
Yes. Your stress hormones, like cortisol, they are perfectly calibrated to this constant threat detection.
Wow.
So when the elevator doors close, that immediate physical responsibility just ends. Your brain registers a massive sudden drop in that daily routine.
So even if you are incredibly proud of them, and happy for their new adventure, your body reacts with pure shock.
Yes,
It feels like a threat to your own internal balance.
that is precisely it. Your logical mind is celebrating,
Yeah.
but your physical body, well, it feels like it just lost a major organ. It is a total systemic shock.
That explains so much. And I bet that shock does not just disappear when you drive home.
No, definitely not.
I bet people still act like the kids are living there for a long time. The brain probably takes months to catch up to the new reality.
It absolutely does. We actually call this the autopilot effect.
The autopilot effect.
Yeah, your body has muscle memory for parenting.
Muscle memory. Like, when you automatically reach for your child's favorite snack at the grocery store,
Yes.
you don't even think about it. You just toss it right in the shopping cart.
That is a perfect example. You toss the snack in the cart, you keep walking down the aisle, and then maybe a few minutes later, your brain suddenly updates the file.
Oh, man. You remember they live in a completely different city now,
Right.
and you have to walk back down the aisle and put the snack back on the shelf. That must be such a painful, quiet little moment.
It is a really sharp sting of reality. It feels like a ghost is living in your house, you know.
A ghost in the house.
Yeah, you see their shadow in your daily habits. Let me share a story that shows how heavy this anticipation can be. We will call it the 365-day countdown.
A countdown for an entire year. That sounds like emotional torture.
It really was. A parent knew their child was leaving for a new job across the country in exactly 1 year.
Okay.
So they started counting everything. They counted down every single goodnight kiss.
Oh.
They counted every family dinner. They would think, this is the last Thanksgiving. This is our last Tuesday movie night.
I strongly dislike that approach.
Yeah, it's rough.
By focusing so hard on the ending, you are completely ruining the present moment. You are basically pre-grieving the loss for an entire year.
You are exactly right. They were pre-grieving, and it backfired terribly.
I bet.
When the child finally left, the parent was completely shattered. I mean, they could not even look at the child's empty bedroom.
Wow.
They kept the bedroom door firmly shut for 3 solid months.
3 months. They lived in the same house but acted like that room did not even exist.
Yes, because opening that door meant facing the truth.
Yeah.
You aren't just losing a child's daily presence. You are losing your primary daily project.
Yeah.
You are losing the project of parenthood.
The project of parenthood. I want to unpack that phrase because it is so accurate.
It really captures the feeling.
Right, because when you manage a project for 20 years and then the project is finished, you lose your title. You take off the manager mask. And for some people, there is literally nothing underneath that mask anymore.
That is a very dangerous place to be. Psychologists actually have a specific term for this. It is called empty life syndrome.
Empty life syndrome. Wait, how is that different from the empty nest? People use those terms like they mean the exact same thing.
They are very different, actually. An empty nest is just a physical description of your house. Like the house is quiet.
Right.
But empty life syndrome is a psychological crisis. It means your internal identity is completely hollow.
So the house isn't just empty, you are empty.
Yes.
How does a person's life become that hollow?
Well, let me tell you the forgotten plan story. Imagine a single father. He is 55 years old.
Okay, I am picturing him.
He has spent the last 20 years doing absolutely everything for his son.
He sounds like a very dedicated, loving father.
He was incredibly dedicated. He drove his son to every single sports practice. He cooked every single meal.
Yeah.
He worked overtime to pay for college. He basically poured his entire life energy into this boy.
And society praises that. Right. We tell parents they should sacrifice everything for their children.
Exactly. We applaud it.
So what happens when the son finally moves out?
The son moves to a new city. The very next day is Saturday. The dad wakes up early, just like always.
Okay.
He walks into the living room. He looks around, and he completely freezes in terror.
He freezes because he has literally zero idea what to do with his own body today.
Exactly. He planned every single detail of his son's future. He researched colleges. He helped with job applications.
But he made zero plans for his own future.
None. He has no hobbies. He lost touch with his friends years ago. He completely forgot to plan a life for himself.
That is so deeply tragic. So the intense sadness people feel isn't always just about missing the child.
No, it's not.
It is the terrifying realization that your own life is completely empty without them.
You look in the mirror, and you just do not recognize the person looking back. You are a full-time manager who just got permanently laid off,
Yeah.
and you have no backup career.
If you are listening right now and you feel that emptiness, just know it makes complete sense. You are not broken.
Not at all.
You just need a new project. But let me ask you something a bit controversial here.
Oh, sure.
Is it always just sadness and shock? Because I have actually heard something a little different.
What have you heard?
I have heard that a lot of parents actually feel a massive, deep sense of relief when the kids leave. But nobody ever wants to admit it out loud.
You are touching on one of the biggest parenting secrets in the world. Yes, many parents feel incredible relief.
But wait, isn't that considered terrible? Society tells us you must be heartbroken.
I know.
You're supposed to stand in the empty bedroom and cry. If you celebrate, people might think you are a monster.
Society puts extreme, unfair pressure on parents to be sad. But feeling relief is very real. It is a biological response to the end of chronic stress.
Can you explain the mechanics of that stress? Like, why would they be so relieved to see their own kids go?
Think about the reality of raising teenagers. It is not exactly a peaceful experience.
Oh, absolutely not. Teenagers are practically designed to push your buttons.
Right. It can be a daily nightmare of conflict and anxiety. You have explosive arguments over totally minor things.
Like taking out the trash.
Exactly. You have muddy shoes constantly destroying the clean floors. But worse than the mess is the anxiety.
The constant worrying.
You're lying awake at night, terrified about them driving cars on icy roads.
Okay, I see the picture clearly now. It is like running a highly stressful, nonstop hotel.
Yes.
A hotel where the guests do not pay, they complain about the food, and you are legally responsible if they crash their car.
That is such a brilliant comparison. I mean, the mental load is just huge. You are tracking their schedules, their moods, their grades.
And it never stops for years.
Exactly. So when they finally pack their bags and leave, that heavy quiet actually feels like a deep tissue massage for your brain.
Wow. But I know parents still feel incredibly guilty for enjoying that peace.
Oh, the guilt is huge. Yeah.
They sit on the couch with a glass of wine, the house is clean, and suddenly they think, well, I am a terrible parent for loving this.
That guilt is so common, but it is completely unnecessary. Let me use a metaphor to explain why this relief is not just okay. It is actually the whole point of parenting.
Oh, I love a good metaphor to clarify things.
Let's call it the car metaphor.
Let's unpack the car metaphor.
Imagine you spend 18 years building a beautiful, complex, high-performance car.
Okay.
You build the engine from scratch. You paint the outside. You align the tires perfectly.
That takes a massive amount of hard work, money, and patience.
Yes, and your family home of the garage. You keep the car safely locked in the garage while you are building it.
Right, to protect it.
You protect it from the weather, from other drivers.
Okay, so the house is the safe garage. I am following you.
So, do you spend 18 years building that beautiful car just to keep it safely locked in the dark garage forever?
No, that would be completely pointless. You want to open the garage door. You want to see that car drive out on the open road. You want to see how fast it can go on its own.
Exactly. You want to see it perform in the real world.
Yeah.
Parenting is the exact same thing. You spend 18 years building a functional adult.
Oh, that makes so much sense. You don't build an adult just to keep them in their childhood bedroom forever.
Right. So feeling relief doesn't mean you are a bad parent. Feeling relief is undeniable, hard proof of a successful launch.
Successful launch.
Yes, you finished the hardest job in the world. The car is out on the open road. You earned every single drop of that relief.
I want every parent listening to hear that clearly. You earned the relief.
You really did.
You can sit in the empty, clean garage and be incredibly proud of your work. You do not need to feel guilty for enjoying the silence.
Yes. You can finally rest your nervous system.
Okay, so we have talked a lot about the parent's internal identity. We talked about the child leaving.
Yes.
But there is another very important person in this house. A person who is still sitting right across the room from you. Ah, you were talking about the partner, the spouse.
Exactly. Let's set the scene here. The kid is gone. The car is on the road. You walk back inside the house.
Okay.
You sit down at the dinner table with your partner, just the two of you. And what happens next?
This is one of the most critical moments in a relationship. We call it the first quiet dinner.
The first quiet dinner. That sounds incredibly dramatic, like the opening scene of a movie.
It feels dramatic in real life, too.
Yeah.
You sit down and you realize for the last 20 years, the kids were the built-in subject of every single conversation.
Right. You talked about their math homework. You talked about the soccer schedule.
Exactly.
You organized who was driving them to the dentist. The children were the ultimate distraction.
But tonight, there is no math homework to discuss. The soccer schedule is gone.
Yeah.
The built-in distraction has completely vanished. There is just dead, heavy silence.
That sounds horribly awkward. Two people who have lived together for decades suddenly having absolutely nothing to say to each other. All you can hear is the sound of forks scraping against the ceramic plates. Scrape. Scrape.
Oh, just thinking about that sound makes my skin crawl. That silence must feel so incredibly loud.
It is deafening.
The
And this specific silence introduces a psychological concept called the exposure effect.
exposure effect. Let's break that down. What exactly is being exposed in that quiet dining room?
The true underlying state of the marriage is being exposed.
Oh, wow.
Many people misunderstand this. They think the empty house creates new marriage problems. They think the quiet literally causes the divorce.
But you are saying the empty house doesn't create the problems at all.
Right. The empty house just removes the loud noise of parenting. The noise was covering the problems up for years.
Let me make sure I understand the mechanics of this. Human brains only have so much bandwidth, right?
Exactly.
If you are tracking a teenager's curfew, worrying about college tuition, and planning daily meals, you literally do not have the mental energy left to analyze your marriage.
That is exactly the mechanism.
Mm.
The exhaustion of chaotic parenting hid all the cracks in the relationship.
So you were just surviving.
Yes, you were simply too busy and too tired to notice you were deeply unhappy with your partner.
So the distraction is gone. The noise is gone. You look across the table and you are forced to actually look at each other.
Yes.
You have to face the stranger you married.
It is a terrifying moment for many couples. The exposure effect forces you to see the reality of your partnership.
Okay, so this is where it gets critical. What do they do? How do they navigate this massive shift without destroying the relationship?
Well, I firmly believe that couples should immediately embrace their new freedom. They need to create momentum.
Momentum.
Yes, they should start new shared hobbies, buy tickets to shows, and just run full speed forward into their second act.
Wait a second, hold on. I am going to have to push back on that.
Really?
Yeah, I completely disagree with that approach.
You disagree? Why? They have all this free time now.
Yeah, because you cannot just flip an emotional switch. You cannot just pretend everything is instantly fun and exciting. That sounds like toxic positivity.
But the kids are gone. The hard, stressful work is finally done. It is time to enjoy life again. I mean, it is time to take a dance class together.
A dance class? Listen to what you are suggesting. What if one person is deeply, profoundly grieving?
Well, grief is natural.
Right, but what if the mother is crying every single day about the end of her first act as a full-time parent? She feels like she completely lost her purpose.
I understand that grieving is a process, but staying sad and sitting in a dark house does not help the marriage. It just creates stagnation.
But if one person is crying on the couch and the other person is trying to drag them to a happy, energetic salsa class, that sounds like a recipe for a massive, destructive argument.
It can be risky, yes.
The grieving partner will feel completely unseen and emotionally abandoned.
That is a risk, I admit. But dwelling in the grief creates a permanent distance. If you just sit around being sad together, you fall into a very specific trap.
What kind of trap?
The professional parenting partners trap.
What does that mean?
You start acting like two retired business partners who just sold their company. You have nothing left to build. You just sit around waiting to get old.
Oh.
You need to make quick, fun changes to break the ice and force a new connection.
No, I still think you are missing the human element here. They absolutely need space to grieve the end of an era together.
Space can be good.
You have to honor the 20 years of work you just finished. If you rush past the sadness, you just feel like awkward roommates waiting to sell the big house.
Okay, I see the core of your argument now.
Yeah.
You are saying that forced fun will cause resentment.
Yes, exactly.
We are actually looking at two completely different emotional timelines.
Yes, that's it exactly. One person might be celebrating the freedom, they are ready for the gap year.
And the other person might be heartbroken and dealing with empty life syndrome.
Right. And that mismatch in timelines is exactly what causes the huge roommate conflict.
So we need to find a compromise between the two approaches. You cannot force the dance class, but you also cannot wallow in sadness for 2 years.
Right.
You have to explicitly communicate where you are on the timeline.
That is the key. You have to be honest. You have to say, I am really struggling today. I miss the kids. I cannot go to a social event tonight.
And the other partner has to actively listen and respect that timeline
Yeah.
without feeling rejected. They have to give the grief some space to breathe.
Yes.
That actually makes a lot of sense when you put it that way.
It requires an incredible amount of patience. But honestly, this all sounds so difficult and fragile.
It is a delicate time.
So is this the moment when everyone gets divorced? Do most marriages just fail during this scraping forks phase?
Actually, no. I have some very surprising, very good news for you about this.
What?
Have you ever heard of the U-curve of marital happiness?
A U-curve. Wait, I think I have seen some charts on this. It is a graph shaped like the letter U that measures how happy couples are over time, right?
Yes. Exactly. Let's visualize that U-shaped graph for a second.
Okay, so marital happiness starts very high. This is the top left of the U.
Right.
This is the honeymoon phase. Before they have any children. They are young, they are rested, and they are in love.
Right. They have plenty of time for each other. But then they have their first child, and the happiness line dips incredibly low.
Wow.
It goes all the way down to the very bottom of the U.
I remember seeing that. But why does it go so incredibly low? Is the act of parenting really that destructive to a romance?
It is not that parenting is bad. It is the environment parenting creates.
The exhaustion.
Yes. It is due to extreme chronic exhaustion. It is due to split attention. You are sleeping in shifts. You are stressed about paying for diapers in college.
So you literally have zero time or energy for romance.
Exactly.
So you are just surviving. You are basically in survival mode at the bottom of the U for 20 solid years.
Essentially, yes. But here is the amazing, hopeful part of this concept.
Yeah.
When the kids finally leave the house, the happiness line does not stay at the bottom.
It doesn't.
No, it goes back up. It climbs right side of the U.
Really? It bounces all the way back up to the original levels. Or is it a different kind of happiness?
It goes way up, but it is a deeper, more resilient happiness. Researchers actually call this phase a renaissance.
The Renaissance.
Yeah, it is a beautiful rebirth of the marriage.
That is so incredibly hopeful. So the sudden silence in the house isn't a threat at all. The silence is actually the physical space you desperately needed to rebuild the connection.
Exactly. You finally have the room to hear each other again. Let me tell you a story about a couple who experienced this exact renaissance.
Please do. I think we all need a happy story after talking about scraping forks and crying in elevators.
This couple had been struggling at the very bottom of the U for a decade. They felt completely disconnected.
Okay.
Then the kids moved out. The house was quiet.
They hit the scary exposure phase.
Yes, they had the awkward dinners.
Yeah.
But they decided to do something small but fun. They started dating each other again.
Oh, that's sweet.
But they didn't go out to fancy restaurants. They did it inside their own empty house.
Dating in their own house. How exactly does that work?
They started cranking up loud music in the kitchen while they cooked dinner together.
Okay, fun.
They poured a late-night drink and sat on the couch talking.
Oh, I love that. And they could play the music loud without worrying about waking up a grumpy teenager who has school the next day.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They suddenly realized they had total freedom in their own home.
Wow.
They laughed. They talked until midnight. They remembered why they liked each other in the first place. They found the spark again.
That is wonderful. They didn't need to force a massive change. They just needed the space to find each other again in the small moments.
The empty house provided that space. It provided the canvas for the renaissance.
Okay, so the marriage is getting better, the partners are reconnecting, that is great.
It is.
But we cannot forget about the kid who just launched into the world. How do you handle the relationship with the child who just left?
That is a tricky balance.
Do you call them every day to check in?
Calling them every day is a very dangerous habit. Let me share a cautionary tale here. I call it the needy mom story.
Uh-oh. Needy mom does not sound like a story with a happy ending.
It is a very stressful dynamic. Imagine a 53-year-old mother. Her daughter just graduated and moved to a new city to start her first big career.
The car is finally on the open road. The daughter is testing her independence.
Yes, but the mother cannot let go. The mother calls her adult daughter every single day, sometimes twice a day.
Wow.
She texts constantly.
What are they possibly talking about every single day? There isn't that much news to share.
There isn't any news. The mother just calls to complain that she is bored. She says the house is too quiet.
Oh, no.
She expects the busy daughter to entertain her over the phone.
That must cause massive anxiety for the daughter. I mean, she is trying to build a new life, impress her new boss, make new friends, and she has to manage her mother's emotional state, too.
It causes huge arguments. The daughter eventually stops answering the phone.
Of course she does.
The mother feels rejected. The whole relationship turns toxic.
So what is the solution? How should the mother behave instead?
The mother needs to change her job title. She needs to shift her identity from being a manager to being a consultant.
Manager to consultant. That is a brilliant way to frame the power dynamic. What is the fundamental difference between those two roles?
Think about it in business terms. A manager holds the ultimate authority.
Right.
A manager tells people exactly what to do. A manager checks in every single day to control the schedule and enforce the rules.
Because the manager is legally responsible for the outcome. If the kid fails, the manager fails.
Exactly.
But what does a consultant do?
A consultant is an advisor. Their value comes purely from their specialized wisdom.
Okay.
A consultant steps back. They wait to be asked for advice. They do not force their opinions on the client.
That completely changes the dynamic. A consultant doesn't hover over the client's desks. They wait for the phone to ring.
Exactly. If you act like a controlling manager when your kids are adults, you will just annoy them. You make them feel incompetent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you hover, you are walking on eggshells. You just push them further away.
Okay, I understand the concept, but how do you actually successfully become a consultant? It must be so hard to just sit by the phone and wait.
Well, you cannot just sit by the phone. That is the secret.
What do you mean?
To stop bothering your kids, you have to build a fascinating, engaging life of your own. You have to be genuinely busy with your own projects.
You have to be so busy that you don't even have time to call them twice a day.
Exactly. You need to focus completely on your own growth. You need to become an interesting person again.
Okay, that brings us perfectly to the next big question, the most important question of all. How do we actually rebuild our own lives? How do we cure empty life syndrome?
We need to talk about finding the courage to be a beginner again. We need to talk about action.
Okay, I love this section. Let's get into the action. So the house is quiet. You have all this free time. The ultimate goal is to find your grand life purpose, right?
Right.
You finally have time to save the world, write that brilliant novel, or start a massive charity.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
I strongly, fundamentally disagree with that entire mindset.
You disagree. Why? Isn't finding a big, meaningful purpose the whole point of life? Every self-help guru says you need to find your ultimate purpose.
And those gurus are often making people totally miserable. Looking for a grand purpose right after your kids leave is a massive trap.
Really?
It is way too much pressure for a tired nervous system.
Pressure. But shouldn't we aim high? Shouldn't we try to leave a lasting legacy now that we have the time to do it?
If you try to find a massive world-saving purpose on day one, you will probably just freeze. You will stare at a blank page. You will feel like a total failure because you aren't saving the world.
Okay, I can see how that expectation could cause paralysis. So what is the alternative to having a grand purpose? Just sitting around watching television?
Not at all. I suggest the anti-purpose approach.
The anti-purpose? That sounds very strange and honestly a little bit rebellious. What exactly is the anti-purpose?
Reinvention is not about a massive, serious, noble mission. It is about small, messy, completely selfish curiosity.
Selfish? Wait a second, that feels wrong. Shouldn't we be using our free time to volunteer? Shouldn't we be helping others in our community?
Volunteering is great. If you naturally want to volunteer, do it.
Okay.
But sometimes, after serving your family for 20 years, you just need to do something embarrassing and small. Something that serves absolutely no one except yourself.
You want people to be messy and selfish. Give me an example of what that actually looks like in real life.
It looks like buying a cheap, used acoustic guitar and playing it badly in your living room.
Just making noise?
Yes. It looks like buying a video game console and racing digital cars for 3 hours on a Tuesday afternoon.
Playing a video game for 3 hours. That feels so wildly unproductive. Society tells adults they must always be productive.
Exactly. It is totally unproductive, and that is the whole point. You do not need to monetize your hobbies. You just need to follow what makes your brain curious.
So you are saying we need to have the courage to be a terrible, messy beginner at 50 or 60 years old. We have to be okay with being bad at something.
Yes. You spent decades being the expert parent. Now you get to be the clueless beginner. You just have to be curious.
But here's the real problem. How do you even know what you're curious about?
That can be tough.
If you have ignored your own desires for 20 years, your brain is probably completely blank. You don't even know what you like anymore.
That is a very real, very common problem. People completely lose touch with their own desires. So I introduce a psychological tool called the breath-sized pause.
The breath-sized pause. Okay, tell me the mechanics of how that works.
It is incredibly simple, but very hard to execute. When you are standing in the quiet kitchen and you feel lost or bored, just stop.
Just stop moving.
Stop your body completely for the length of one single deep breath.
Just one breath. That is very short. How does one breath change anything?
It is short, but it acts as a circuit breaker for your brain. It breaks the autopilot cycle. In that one long pause, you ask yourself a single specific question.
What is the exact question?
You ask your inner self, what do I actually need right now?
Okay, let's play this out. I'm standing in the kitchen. I take a deep breath. I ask, what do I need? What usually happens next? What does the voice say?
Usually, if you listen closely, the inner voice does not say, go clean the guest bathroom. The inner voice does not say, check your work email again.
Because those are just productive tasks. Those are manager tasks. What does the inner voice actually say?
The inner voice usually whispers something very simple. It says, I just want to play.
Play. Wow. Just hearing the word play makes my chest feel lighter. It sounds so freeing.
Adults completely forget how to play.
Yeah.
We are conditioned to think everything must have a goal.
Right.
We think every hobby must become a side hustle. We think everything must be productive.
But true play means doing something with absolutely zero productive value. You do it simply for the joy of experiencing it.
Exactly. Paint a terrible, ugly picture. Sing loudly and off-key in the garden. Build a weird birdhouse. Just play.
Okay, analyzing the concept of play is really nice, but how do you actually do it? How do you force a tired, grieving brain to start playing?
Usually need a physical ritual. A physical action in the real world signals a fresh start to your brain.
Okay.
You cannot just think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into it.
A physical ritual. Can you give me a concrete example of someone doing this?
I will share the art studio swap story. It is a perfect, dramatic example of a physical ritual changing a mindset.
I am leaning in. Tell me the story.
A father dropped his youngest daughter off at college. He drove back home and walked into the quiet house.
He felt the heavy silence, the exposure effect we talked about.
Yes, he felt the full weight of it. But he did not sit on the couch and cry. He did not wallow. That very weekend, he walked straight into her empty bedroom.
What did he do? Did he sit on her bed?
No, he started tearing the room apart.
What?
He stripped the old childish wallpaper off the walls. He dragged her heavy wooden bed out to the dusty garage. He painted the entire room bright, clean, sterile white.
Wow. He didn't waste a single day. He just completely destroyed the old reality of that room.
He aggressively changed the physical reality.
Yeah.
Then he carried in a large wooden easel. He bought expensive oil paints.
Oh, I
He
see.
turned her old, sad bedroom into his own vibrant personal art studio.
That is incredible. He didn't just sit around thinking about painting someday. He physically built a space that demanded he paint today.
Yes, changing your physical environment forces your mind to accept the new reality. It proves to your nervous system that the second act has officially begun.
Right, because you cannot ignore an art easel in the middle of a white room.
Exactly.
I absolutely love the idea of acting quickly and decisively. You claim the physical space for yourself, but what if you want to change more than just one room in your house? What if you need a much bigger change?
If you need a massive reset, then you need to consider the golden gap year.
The golden gap year. Wait, a gap year is what confused 18-year-olds do before they start college?
Yes, usually.
They buy backpacks and wander around Europe staying in hostels.
Exactly. But why should teenagers get all the fun and discovery of a gap year? Parents have actually earned this freedom. They have the wisdom to appreciate it.
So parents in their 50s and 60s can take a gap year. How does that work in the real world?
Parents can use their new freedom and financial stability to travel extensively. It is the golden time of their lives.
Where do they go? What are they looking for?
They might rent a tiny, cheap apartment in a small, quiet village in Italy for 2 entire months.
Ah, that sounds amazing.
Or they might buy a used camper van and drive across the national parks.
They just leave the empty house entirely. They walk away from the scraping forks.
Yes, it promotes incredibly active aging. It drastically reduces stress. But the biggest benefit isn't the beautiful scenery. The biggest benefit is deeply psychological.
What is the psychological benefit of drinking wine in an Italian village?
You finally shed the parent mask.
Set the mask!
When you walk into a coffee shop in a foreign country, nobody knows your history. Nobody knows you're a worried mother or a stressed father.
That is a profound thought. Your identity isn't tied to your children in that village.
Strangers just see you as a fascinating, independent traveler. They do not ask how your kids are doing in college. They ask what you are doing today.
You can try on a completely new personality. You can be louder, you can be quieter, you can be whoever you want to be because there is no historical expectation weighing you down.
Exactly. You are completely free from your old labels. You are a blank slate.
That sounds absolutely magical. I want to buy a camper van right now.
A lot of people do.
But I have to ask a hard, honest question to ground us back in reality.
Okay, ask the hard question.
What if I do all this work? What if I build the beautiful art studio? What if I take the magical gap year in Italy? What if I still feel deeply sad sometimes? What if I still feel a crushing guilt while lying in bed at night in that quiet house? Because humans are complicated and a trip to Italy doesn't cure grief permanently?
That is a very honest, very necessary question. You are right. Sadness and guilt will still visit you. They will knock on your door during those hard, quiet nights.
Yeah.
And for those moments, I offer a very powerful, very simple psychological tool.
A tool for the dark nights. I think everyone listening needs this.
Yep.
What is it?
It is called the 7-word ritual. You use it right before you go to sleep when the house is at its quietest.
7 words. Just 7. What are they?
You lie in the dark and you say out loud to yourself, I accept all of myself right now.
I accept all of myself right now. That feels very heavy. It feels like a surrender.
It is a surrender. Let's break down why it works. The most important word in that sentence is the word all.
Why is the word all doing so much heavy lifting?
Because in this transition, you are feeling many contradicting things at the exact same time. You are the deeply sad parent who misses hearing their child's laughter in the hall.
Yes, that part of the heart is genuinely hurting.
But you are also the deeply relieved person who secretly loves having a perfectly clean house and watching whatever you want on television.
And I feel intense shame and guilt about that selfish part.
Exactly. And you are also the excited, curious adventurer who wants to buy an art easel or fly to Italy.
So the word all includes the sad grieving part, the guilty relieved part, and the excited selfish part. It holds all of them together.
Exactly. Most people try to fight the bad feelings and only keep the good ones. By saying those 7 words out loud, you end the internal war.
Wow, you end the internal war. You stop fighting your own complex humanity.
You give yourself radical permission to exist exactly as you are in this very moment. Messy, sad, relieved, happy, and completely free.
That is incredibly emotional. I feel like practicing that simple phrase could heal a tremendous amount of hidden pain for people.
It is a small, quiet phrase, but it shifts your entire reality. It brings true peace to the quiet house.
We have covered so much ground today. This has been a truly expansive, deep dive into a very complicated human experience. We started with that heavy, shocking silence in the kitchen.
We explored the biological shock of the elevator meltdown. We unpacked the unexpected, totally valid guilt of feeling relieved.
We looked deeply at the U-curve of marriage. We learned that the awkward scraping forks at dinner are not the end, but just the messy beginning of a beautiful relationship renaissance.
And we debated and discovered the courage to be a messy beginner. The courage to reject grand purpose and just play.
So as we wrap up our conversation tonight, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final provocative thought to chew on.
A question for them to explore on their own, in their own quiet house.
Exactly. Think about an empty room in your house right now, or maybe a room that will soon be empty in a few years.
Picture the 4 blank walls. Picture the empty floor space.
If you did not have to be practical at all, if money and judgment did not matter, what is the very first thing you would turn that room into? Would it be a messy, paint-splattered art studio?
Would it be a quiet, dark library filled with old books?
Would it be a loud gaming room with neon lights?
That is a brilliant question. Because whatever strange, impractical answer just popped into your head, do not ignore it.
Do not push it away because it feels silly.
That answer is exactly what your soul is hungry for. That is your inner voice speaking. That is your next step.
The end of the active parenting era isn't the end of your book. It is not the final page of your story. It is just the start of the absolute best, most interesting chapter.
Stay curious. Give yourself grace. Embrace the quiet house. It is finally your space to grow.
Thank you so much for exploring this heavy, beautiful quiet with us today. We will see you on the next deep dive.